a lot of different ways. One thing is a tool called web storage. And it actually has two types of storage that we can actually implement in our code. We can either do session storage or local storage. And let's talk a little bit about the differences of those, because you need to be familiar with that for the exam. Session storage, that's going to persist information in one session.
Okay.
Let's think of an example. Maybe we are on an airline site, and we are trying to type in some information and make a reservation, and we move around a little bit, maybe from page to page. When we come back, and it would be nice to have that information there.
Right.
It's not going to happen automatically. We as the developers have to make sure that that is maintained.
Okay.
That would be an example of a good example of using session state. The other example is local storage.
Okay.
And that's going to persist across sessions.
So if I close my browser and come back, it'll still be there.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Important point, since you brought that up, very important point to make is if you're in a particular browser, like Internet Explorer, you close it and you get back in, it's going to be there. But
not in a different browser.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. If I do I open up Chrome, it's not going to be there. So it is important to know that it is storage that is browser specific. All right?
Okay.
And it stays there. Forever, right? Until I delete it, right? So it's there permanently. If we look at the screen, we want to be familiar with the types, the two methods that are available. And if you notice, they are the same. Set item, get item for both session and local storage. They're easy to remember.
Yeah, so set item would be to put a value into there, write a value. Get item would be to read it back out and go retrieve it.
Yeah.
Okay, that seems pretty straightforward. Yeah, set, get. Yeah.
So you need to be familiar with what web storage is, the types of storage that you can do.
Okay.
What other kinds of storage, though? Let's just talk a little bit about, we've got web storage. Before web storage, what did we use?
Wait, it's like peanut butter or chocolate or, cookies.
Cookies, that's right.
Yeah, cookies.
And of course.
See, bad joke. It's sort of, this is what I do. I'm just here to deliver bad jokes.
Keep us entertained. Yeah, cookies, and we've all heard of cookies, and those are certainly still available to use, but there's some limitations. You should be aware of the limitations. One, of course, is, the user can delete them, which is a problem for developers. And then another is size, storage size, right? We're kind of limited to a little bit over 4K, about 4K.
Or 4K and text only.
Yeah, so web storage is certainly a more viable solution, and we've got it. That's what you need to know about web storage, basically. Basic methods. I want to show you an example that I think, a real-world example, you are probably familiar with. I bet everybody's used Facebook at one point or another. And I bet you've noticed how much data they know about you. You get out, you get in, and they still know your data is still there from what you've done previously. Facebook's actually got a great little help section. I'm going to go ahead and link out of that. I'll link to that to demonstrate that. It's got a nice little information page on exactly what local storage is and how Facebook specifically uses that technology. Yeah, really handy. So if you were wondering, how does that happen, that is certainly one of the technologies that Facebook uses, which is, by the way, an HTML5 application.
Fantastic.
Good real-world example of what's going on out there.
Yeah.
I think we probably should demonstrate.
Yeah, let's see an example.
Between local and session storage.
Yeah.
You want to take that one, Chris?
Let me drive.
What do you think?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I want to do something. Okay. So if we take a look here at my system, what you're going to notice is that I've already done all the coding here, and the reason for that is that I need a couple little moving parts to make everything work.
Okay.
So what I want you to notice here is this, and in fact, I'm going to do it this way. Is I'm going to create 2 placeholders right there for my local and for my session. So I'm kind of keeping it relatively straightforward. So I'm going to have my local in one spot, session in the other, and then you'll also notice that I've given them IDs of local and session respectively, just to make it easy. Now, keep in mind that the names local and session here, there's nothing fancy about it. I just used local and session to make my life easier, and this is something you're going to want to do. Use good variable names, things that make your life easier.
Yeah, but you could have named it whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
Peanut butter and jelly.
There we go. Yeah, so we'll go peanut butter together. And wait a minute, we'll actually
local works better.
Peas and jelly.
There we go.
There we go.
Okay.
Kind of a callback to earlier this morning. All right. In any event, so our local and our session there. And then what you're going to notice is I've got three little items here. I've got an input text box there, and that's going to have our data. And again, nothing fancy about the word data, just that's going to be the data that we'll play with, so that's why I called it data.
Okay.
And then two little buttons here for save data and display data. And again, just to kind of reiterate here, nothing special about those names, but it's just going to make life easier because you'll notice save data and you'll notice display data. And of course, meaningful, because save data, of course, is going to save the data, and display data is going to display the data. Okay. Now, in my save data, here's my mouse, what I've done is I've created a little variable called data, and I'm going to read the value out of that text box. So I'm going to read that, and then I'm going to store that inside of both local and session, inside of a little thing called data. Now, the way that local and session wind up working is they basically, and they each do this, is they both work like a table with key value pairs. So you can just kind of envision here, and there we go, shrink that down. So our key and our value. And so this might be something like name, and I'm going to use Rachel here because Christopher will be too long to fit into there. So, and then maybe Twitter, and Rachel, MC
Jones.
Oh, of course, and then I wound up going too long anyway. But you start to get the idea there. So it's that key value pairs, and you get one for local and you get one for session. So what I've just done here is I've created a brand new key here that I'm calling data, and I'm setting that value. And I'm doing that inside of both local and session. And again, the names don't have to match, but it just makes it that much easier for my demo. When we go to do the display side, what you're going to notice is, again, get item, and then there's data. And then I'm going to update that for the local and for the session, respectively. So you'll notice that I'm going to read it out of local storage, I'm going to read it out of session storage, and then go grab our local and our session, which if I scroll up here, you'll notice right up here, we have those placeholders, and I highlighted those earlier.
Perfect.
All right. So let's go ahead and take a look here. So little Control F5, and what I want to do is start off by clicking on Display Data. And you'll notice that when I do this, I get null and null. And the reason that it's giving me null is because we haven't actually stored any values there. So you can kind of see that everything is empty. And you're also going to see what happens now if there's no value there when you go to read it.
Makes sense. Okay.
So let me go in and put in my name of Christopher there. And let me click on Save Data. There we go. And now let's go ahead and display data. And what you're going to notice is, sure enough, Christopher and Christopher. Exactly what we would have expected.
Sure.
Let me close the browser out, and I'm going to launch it again. And let me just click right on Display Data. And you're going to notice that my local, because that's going to store across multiple browser opens and closes, that had the value of Christopher, and you'll notice that session wound up being empty.
Okay.
Now, the last little thing, and this is very interesting, that I want to display here, is I'm going to type back in Christopher, and I'm just going to use my finger here. I'm just going to tap on Save and Display, so you'll notice that it's now Christopher. And let me copy my URL, and I'm going to paste that into a brand new tab here, and I'm going to hit Enter. And when I click on Display Data there, you'll notice that my local is still there, but my session is null. And you might be thinking, well, wait a minute. Let's go back to that first tab. Let's click on Display Data, and you'll notice it's got Christopher, but you'll notice on the second tab, it doesn't. And the reason for that is that that session is actually even on a tab-by-tab basis. So that can actually be a good thing if you're trying to create that little bit of a separation, because a lot of people will open up multiple tabs and peruse around on your site, and you sometimes need to keep all of that separate. Session will be able to do that. And again, local, you only get one local for the entire browser, and it will keep that across multiple browser opens and closes.
Very good example, right?
Thank you.
I think it's also good to point out that sometimes I get asked the question, well, where is this actually stored? And the local storage is actually stored on the client,
yes.
right?
Yeah, it is on the client,
if there's any doubt about that, that's where that's happening. And again, it stays there until it's actually deleted, or you write some code in to delete it. So
exactly.
Yeah, great.
So Rachel, one of the things that you hinted at was the possibility of taking something and making it available through a store?
Yes, that's right. So let's take a look at that. Let's talk about packaging your application. You've done everything, you've written out your code, you've tested it, and you've debugged it, you're ready to deploy it. And with HTML5, it's a little different process. If you're coming from other traditional languages like C# or Visual Basic, where you actually have to create an executable file or an ISO, or MSI. Now what we're just going to do is package our application. And there are tools out there to do that. And it's going to create this manifest.
Okay.
That manifest is what's going to be used by the OS to install your applications locally.
And that manifest is it just like a package manifest? Like if I ordered something from fill in popular e-commerce client here, and I open up the box and it's got the little piece of paper there that says everything that's in it. That style of a manifest, just explaining everything that's in it.
Absolutely, that's a great analogy. It's going to be in the form of an XML file. Okay. So that's going to actually be sent with your application. Okay. So it's going to be your XML. And then in addition to that, it's going to be any files that are needed to execute your application, your HTML files, your JS, your CS, any images that you have, all that's going to be packaged up and ready to deploy to your store or wherever you're sending it to.
Okay, fantastic.
Yeah. One of the things that's important to mention is if you're going to be deploying this through a store, you're going to have your application digitally signed. Okay. And that's any store. I'm not just talking specifically Microsoft Store. Any store that you want to package it to. They all require a digital signature. And know what that is. It's basically just a way to authenticate you as the author of your particular application. That's what digital signature is.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool.
No big mystery there.
All right.
Let's
now there's got to be a little bit more to publishing that out other than just simply setting up that little manifest. There's got to be more. So where am I going to go to find more information about what it is that I'm going to need to do to get ready to publish out this app?
Yeah, I've got a couple of links available that's going to be helpful. This one here will take you right to a great location here. Developer location here. And the one that I want to call particular attention to is the Publish tab. This will take you step by step on the process of how to actually publish your app and get it up to the store. So you can spend some time going through this. Maybe a little way more information than you actually need for this level, but it's there. Again, I want to take you beyond just this particular exam so that you can really do some real world stuff and get your stuff up to a store. So this is a great site. This is another great article I love. Just 10 steps to submitting your app. Okay. So this will be another great resource for you to explore.
All right.
And a couple more resources that I want to provide the audience with. One is more about deployment. That's a great one. Beginner's Guide to Web Storage. If you're still a little fuzzy, Christopher did a great job on your demo, by the way.
Thank you.
If you want to explore that a little bit more, this is a great beginner's guide to the whole idea about web storage. So this is definitely a must read.
Okay.
Got to go there. Yeah.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So what we took a look at was how to manage state inside of our application, how to get it ready for packaging, so that way if we are going to create something that we want to put into the store, that we've got that capability, and some of the different steps to put all of that up there. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, what do you say we put a nice little bow onto this module, and then we'll come on back and kind of answer any last little things about the exam. So let's go ahead and take a break, and then we'll come on back.
Yeah, that sounds great. We're going to just wrap it all together in the next module, and we also want to leave them with a few ideas for preparation, some tips on how to really prepare for this exam.
Okay.
So we'll see you there.
We'll see you then. All right, welcome back. Last time, preparing for exam, MTA exam 98375, HTML5 application development.